How's it gangin', dudes and dudettes? My name is Sean and welcome back to my channel. And Yang just punched back at Monmouth polling. Don Lemon on CNN, Don Lemon, he gave Yang a chance to actually respond and a couple of things. So I want to get right into that. I'll let the video play in its entirety before I give a little bit of analysis at the end, my opinion, and how we're going to mobilize. Now the debate is a slim chance of making it, right? We still have a chance. We didn't think Fox News would come out with polls, so we have a chance tomorrow for a couple extra polls. We don't know. He's made it in the 11th hour before. Could happen again. Anyways, smack a like, subscribe if you're new, comment down below. The algorithm loves gravy. Got to give the gravy to the algorithm, or the algorithmic overlords of YouTube get mad and they punish you. They smite us, and we can't be smited, right? Okay, anyway, so let's go ahead and play the video.
Now let's turn to the state of the race. Tuesday, CNN and the Des Moines Register are hosting the last debate before the Iowa caucuses. Democratic voters considering the candidates in the midst of tensions with Iran and the looming Senate impeachment trial. Joining me now to discuss all of this is Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang. So good to have you on. Thank you, sir. Let's start with Iran. Officials there are pushing back on U.S. evidence that it was their missile that shot down a Ukrainian plane, killing 176 passengers. How would you handle the situation right now if you were president?
75% of Americans want nothing to do with war in Iran. I believe that killing General Soleimani was a mistake, and we need to do everything we can to de-escalate tensions in the region and pursue diplomatic solutions. It's a terrible tragedy that that jet was shot down and that so many lives were lost. That's just one reason why we have to come back to the table with Iran and let them know we have no interest in disproportionate provocations that elevate hostilities.
Let's talk about impeachment now. We expect the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, to send the articles of impeachment to the Senate soon. Is it time to move this forward?
I believe it is. We need to get on with the business of solving the problems that got Donald Trump elected and present a positive vision that Americans can get excited about. The more we talk about Donald Trump, even in the context of impeachment, it's good for Donald Trump, and it's going to make it harder to beat him in the fall. So to me, we should move forward with impeachment proceedings because that was resolved in the House and should head to the Senate.
Well, at the House, they want witnesses, right? Nancy Pelosi is saying there should be witnesses. She wants to make sure it's fair. But do you believe the Senate needs to call witnesses in their trial?
Well, it should be a fair trial, and it should be in the hands of the Senate to call witnesses that are appropriate. But to me, at this point, the House has done its job, and the trial should be in the hands of the Senate. I think forestalling at this point doesn't serve anyone's interests.
Listen, there are a couple of things I don't envy about you guys out on the campaign trail. The schedule, you have to put up with a lot, but you've got to raise a lot of money. Your campaign reported a fourth quarter fundraising haul of $16.5 million. You met the donor requirements, but not the polling requirements for next week's debate. Will you change your strategy at all?
Well, we're optimistic that there'll be new polls that show that we're growing here in New Hampshire and around the country. But at this point, we're so close to voting that we can make our case directly to voters in Iowa and New Hampshire and Nevada and South Carolina. And like you just said, we raised $16.5 million last quarter, so we have the resources to go through the primary season into Super Tuesday and into the spring. We are in it to win it, and we'll be here the whole way.
Yeah, so you set me up for my next question because I want to put up this new Monmouth poll. It's out of New Hampshire today, and it has you polling at 3%. But when you dig into those numbers, really, you're the only candidate in that poll whose net favorability has gone up overall since May. Are voters still just getting to know you, you think?
You know, I just had an event tonight, latest in a series of events here in New Hampshire, and the crowds are bigger than ever. The energy is electric. The vast majority of voters have not determined who they're going to support in February. We are growing, and we're going to peak at the right time when voting starts. This field is still very unsettled, and that's right there in the numbers in the polls.
As you know, there are a number of billionaires in this race. Tom Steyer is now the sixth candidate to qualify for the debate just hours ago after two new polls show him at double digits in Nevada and South Carolina. Steyer spent over $25 million on television ads in those states. How do you keep your message amplified when you have to compete against that kind of money?
Well, to me, the best possible source of contributions is the American people. We raised all this money with zero corporate PAC money, all grassroots donations. And I think if you have a lot of money, it can give you a bump or a boost, but it can't get you past a certain point because advertisements get annoying and irritating rather than helpful if you see too many of them from the same person. So I'm really excited about getting our case out to the American people through your friends, your neighbors, your family members. That's how we're seeing this growth here in New Hampshire and around the country. People listen to other people first and foremost, not advertisements.
Andrew Yang, always a pleasure. Good luck out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Don. See you back in New York soon. Appreciate you, brother. Okay,
so there you go. Yang is 100%, 120%, 1,000% right. 100,000% right. We're so close to voting now, and he's made such an impact that it doesn't matter. And being as most polls aren't polled right, his name is left off of most polls, and they're only polling the elderly folk who still use landline phones, right? There's not that many online polling done. Most of his base isn't even reached via polling. And then on top of that, the polls that they do choose to accept are either old polls that they know he hasn't made, or polls they accept polls or release polls that he hasn't made, that he just doesn't make. So it'll come down to the last few that they have to publish in order for him to actually make it. But he's right. We have an incredible canvassing team on the ground right now. Check out Paget's channel. She needs all the support she can because she's not uploading like she was. She's doing a lot of live streams. You know what I mean? So, we're out there. We are definitely out there, and we're going to make a huge impact, if not take it all the way. I mean, he is actually. I mean, there's a good chance that he could come in third in New Hampshire, maybe even fourth in Iowa. And that would get him a lot of media attention, and he'd be a shoo-in for the next debate. Now they go on to talk about Tom Steyer, and the reason why Tom Steyer made it is just because he's unloading so much money. And like Yang said, once somebody sees so many of those ads, it tends to become more annoying. Yeah, like what's in the ad will kind of get cemented into your brain, and that's all you'll think about. But when it comes down to it, it takes 2 seconds of research to understand that he's funding his own his own campaign. You know what I mean? And that's not the will of the people. And most people are smart about that. So even if it's not Yang, it definitely won't be Tom Steyer. That's a fad. That definitely will fade away. So with Amy Klobuchar and Biden, those numbers are just inflated via the media. It is what it is. They choose, they pick. And people say, well, the DNC, they're actually, pretty unbiased. They're letting outside polling people do the polling. Yeah, they're letting the outside people do the polling, the ones that they trust to poll the way the establishment leans, and then they only accept certain polls. They pre-decide, okay, which polls have been favorable to the candidates that we choose. Historically, establishment candidates. Oh, so these pollsters are the ones who historically choose the establishment candidates, right? So we're going to pick these ones. So they're going to poll in the nature that supports the establishment candidates and not the anti-establishment candidates. It's actually a legalized form of corruption. The DNC, they're a company, you know what I mean? So they can literally just say that we're not going to support Andrew Yang if we don't want to, which is crazy. Democracy should not be beholden to a corporation, and that's what's happening. And the fact of the matter is, Andrew Yang is wanting to tax the big tech oligarchies, and guess what? They don't like that. In fact, they fund a lot of money through lobbyists to politicians to make sure that what they want keeps getting done. So Yang, You know, they're going to try to push Yang out as fast as they can so then they can go for Bernie. It's the way it is. So us, Bernie, Tulsi, you know, we all need to kind of unite a little bit. I've said this before. People do need to gear up for Yang to be a dark horse VP pick. Something like that. That's the best worst case scenario. But at the end of the day, we need to make sure that his ideas stay alive at the end of the day. If he's not going to be president, which he still has a path to victory, which other people don't. They really, really don't. He has a path. But let's just say he doesn't. Well, that doesn't mean anything, because if we can get his ideas out there, his ideas in the mainstream, he'll be a shoe-in for his next running. He'll be a shoe-in for VP. He'll be a shoe-in for a lot of stuff where we can get his ideas out there in the mainstream and make UBI a reality. Maybe not within the first year of his presidency, but maybe within the first year of his presidency if he actually makes it the next time around. Or if he shocks the world come Super Tuesday, which happens to be my birthday. You know, I'm just saying. March 3rd, Super Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Okay, anyway. That's pretty much all I got. I think Yang knocked it out of the park, and props to CNN and Don Lemon for even giving him a platform to do this, because, you know, I think calling out MSNBC did the right thing by Yang, because that forces CNN and Fox News to actually cover him more favorably. And so far they're doing that. So I can't knock CNN too much, even though they have a huge history of being, you know, I don't know, dirty players, you know, with the Covington thing that just happened. And, you know, anyways, I'm going to get off here, guys. That's all pretty much all I got. I just wanted to update you guys on Yang's response to Monmouth polling, because we're going to keep fighting, guys. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. Make sure you smack it like, do the gravy. Gotta have the gravy. I'll see you guys next time.